My guest today is Ben Wolowitz, also known as Swiblet. Ben is a voice actor and a musician. We're talking about soundproofing your recording space, voicing funny characters, the importance of professionalism, and much, much more. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Tell me who you are and how you got involved in voice acting.
I am Ben Wolowitz. I'm known as Swiblet online. I got into voice acting naturally through the content I was already making. I started off as a singer and a cover artist, mainly for nerdy type inspired content. So stuff about like indie video games. I'm sure everybody's heard a Five Nights at Freddy's song or two. So I started off singing those kinds of songs. Those franchises are very story based. So a lot of people would also completely separately from that make fan content, fan comics, fan stories. And after I earned some success doing that musically, some people saw me like singing as those characters because I felt that added something special to those covers and those songs. They said, "Hey, you think you could voice act that character in my comic?" Sure, sounds fun. Never did that before, but I'll give it a try. And it turns out a lot of the principles of singing with passion and voice acting with passion kind of go hand in hand. So turns out I've kind of been practicing that for a long time. I just kind of fell right into it and I was pretty good at it already, like when I first started because of that. So I just kept doing that for a while, maybe for 4 or 5 years. And then eventually I was just like, I kind of want to just like do that officially for franchises that aren't fan related, something that you'll actually see on a TV show or coming from Glitch or Spindle Horse or one of those big original IPs. I would, why not try that? So I've been doing that for about a year and a half. So it kind of just felt like a really natural progression to me, something I've always thought about doing ever since I started watching anime and cartoons growing up.
Tell me a little bit about the projects that you've been involved in so far, maybe some of your favorites, some of the ones you're really excited about, and then maybe the ones that also challenged you as well.
There are a couple of projects I've already been in. Now, I will start off saying, because I'm kind of new to the original voice acting space, there are a lot of things that are not released yet. But as far as the things that have been released, there are a couple of video games that I'm in. I have a friend that is very much involved in what people call the boomer shooters. Like you think of Doom, for example, the old Doom, kind of pixely, retro style shooting or action game. And he's gotten me involved in a lot of those projects. I've been in one called Time Splitters Rewind, kind of a fan project based on another game called Time Splitters. I play a character called Bortez, which you'll probably notice this as I explain. I specialize in the silly and wacky voices. So this Bortez character, he is a parody and he's just screaming around kind of like just a whole lot of that. He's a playable character, or you can fight against him, and he's just screaming all over the place with all sorts of weird craziness. I wouldn't say that was challenging. That was just really fun. I got to do all sorts of crazy improv stuff. There's another boomer shooter called Darkenstein 3D, which is a fan offshoot of Wolfenstein. I play a couple of different kinds of enemies there. That was a bit challenging because I had to do a German accent for the first time. They were just NPCs. I'm the guys you're shooting en masse there. So just certain types of, taunts and curses and death screams and stuff. The accents are always a little challenging when you have to do them for the first time. Another game I'm in is called Carnage Offering. I'm just talking as a guy. I was pretty much just asked to be an NPC that the character meets, but also slightly challenging because that's supposed to be a deep voice. And I have kind of more of a tenor range. I managed to make it work, and I'm pretty sure they ended up pitching me down in the end also anyway. Other characters I'm playing that I'm super excited about coming up, but I do have permission to speak about. There's a series called Conejos, which is a 2D animated series that is currently in the works. And I'm playing the main bad guy for season 1. His name is Thomas Hilton. These are all animals. Conejos is Spanish for rabbits. So I'm a cat. And he's like an assassin cat. And he's got an Australian accent, also challenging for the same reason as the German one, because I've never done that before. So I'm excited to play him. There is an upcoming series about a Roblox game called Threadville that I'm super excited about. This animated series is based on that. I don't know if it's the same universe exactly, but I get to play a silly character called The Worm, which is inspired by Richard Horvitz. They specifically said, I want someone that sounds similar to Richard Horvitz. And I've been doing Invader Zim stuff for a while, so I went in for that, and I just get to be super wacky and conniving. Just be really snide and hissy about stuff. Like, oh, you want to interview me? It's very strange. That kind of vibe. And he'd probably give a bunch of troll answers to you just to upset you. So I get to play a character like that, just super annoying, probably comic relief side character type thing. And then the newest one I just got casted for is Razor the Rock and Roll Werewolf, who's basically super inspired by like Jack Black rocker. That whole series, he's like that, but a teenager. So just very much rock on, dude. I'm super excited about that too. So it's just a whole lot of different roles in different personalities. I am just super blessed to be having a lot of variety that I can play around with, and it makes me feel like I'm not super typecasted in anything. In the fan stuff, I was typecasted. Silly voices, cartoonish voices, very much up here a lot of the time. Now I'm kind of going all over the place, and a lot of these things are challenging, but I'm getting casted in them and people are liking them, so it feels nice to know that I might have a little more range than I thought.
How did you decide to start your channel, specifically the content that you started with?
I don't listen to simple music that doesn't interest me. The music I'm listening to has really complex vocals and the vocalist going all over the place and crazy and stuff. So when I'm casually singing that, I'm not just kind of like, I'm that guy you'll see next to you, just like in the car, and you look at them funny. That's me, but that's my casual, just singing along to music thing. I guess that got me some range without really like trying to practice or to train or anything. So when I decided to make my YouTube channel and I was coming out of a different community, I was drawing a lot and stuff, but I was realizing I'm not sure this is for me specifically, the physical art medium. I just kind of went over to YouTube, saw all this really good community, all these creators doing really cool things, really good things for the world, and I'm kind of like, I want to get into that. What can I offer? Well, singing, I guess. It just kind of comes naturally to me at this point. So maybe I can sing some loud, exciting music and maybe people will resonate with it. I started that music channel just because I wanted to get involved in a place that has a really nice community. That's just the one thing I thought I could kind of do naturally from the beginning.
Because you had that channel, was it easier to transition in terms of equipment and tools?
Yeah, it really was. I already had some of the knowledge about what it takes to sound isolate my space, for example. I don't want to sound like I'm in a bathroom while I'm singing because that's going to affect my ability to mix that into the instrumental. So I already knew how to kind of sound isolate my space enough to do voice acting. I didn't know how much I would end up needing to do because totally different feels. They want it to be completely dead audio wise when you're voice acting. And for singing, you have a little bit more leeway. But I came into it with some knowledge. I didn't need to start from scratch. I also came into it with a good amount of mixing knowledge because I'm used to, at that point, mixing my vocals into instrumentals. I kind of know what sounds decent. I know when my voice has a certain pitch that's a little grating to the ear, I know how to like EQ and, remove that little bit out audio spectrum wise. Like I came into it with that kind of knowledge already. So yeah, it definitely helped a lot. And from there, I just learned a lot more about what the voice actor space specifically is looking for and progressed my knowledge from there.
So, based on your experience, what tips do you have in terms of sound treating your space?
It really depends where you are on the journey. It's always kind of a road, upward to improve your space and your skills. Everything you're doing is always, how can I make this better? So if you're starting from the beginning, probably don't have the craziest budget to allocate toward this or something. Anything to help stop those sound waves from bouncing off of stuff back into your microphone will help. Flat walls basically are the enemy. Flat, hard walls. Hard wood floors, straight plaster walls, those are not going to do you any favors. So you're going to want to start with getting into a place or treating your place to avoid that. So a lot of people will move into a walk-in closet, but that's super boxy. You got hard walls all around you. But if you have a lot of clothes around you because it's a closet, that helps a lot. Maybe you just nail something to the ceiling because that's probably a hard flat surface. If you have carpet on the floor, you're taken care of on that. If not, maybe put a rug down there or something. That's a great place to start. Walk-in closet will sound still a little bit boxy or muffled, but it's a great place to start. I didn't like that boxy muffled sound personally. I had a walk-in closet with a lot of foam for a couple of years. So after that, I ended up experimenting with putting foam on the walls in a larger room, which sounded better, but it's a lot more expensive. You need a lot more foam. So I ended up kind of doing this. You got moving mats. This is not where I record my voice stuff. I have a booth now over there, but this is going to keep this room from sounding really echoey while I'm talking to you. And I'm sitting on another moving mat here. These things you get for like $5 or $6 from Harbor Freight. Nailing that to the wall helps so much. Putting it everywhere. That's a great place to start. As you progress and you decide you can spend a little bit more money on this stuff, you can invest a little more, get a booth like I mentioned. I've got a booth there that I built myself, cost maybe 200 something bucks, and it's made out of PVC, and you double up 2 5-pound moving blankets. That's audibly the same type of sound isolation you get from a 10-pound, $80 acoustic professional blanket. So I did that. Just bought a bunch of those from Harbor Freight, put it on a PVC frame. It took me 2 hours, and I got a booth that I think I could use for a long time. You know, I saw a couple of other interviews where people are booking AAA games with booths like that. I probably don't need to upgrade past that. If I really want to get super duper professional, there are some sound booths that cost as much as a small car. And I'm sure those sound leaps and bounds better in ways that I can't fathom because I don't have that ear yet. But there's always levels to it. Don't need to get super scared about that if you're starting out. Some of these thrown around your wall and your floor and your ceiling will probably do you fine. Pop filters and windscreens like this baby here keeps the plosive, the aggressive P's and T sounds. This helps with that. So making sure that the sound that the person is getting from you is as clean as possible is super important, and you don't have to spend a lot starting out. A little bit helps a long way, and I feel like it's diminishing returns the higher up you go. You'll notice a huge difference when you start out with just a little bit.
Now you have the equipment, you have the sound treatment. What about auditions? How did that change when you started pursuing that on your own? How did you go about the audition process?
There was a huge shock for me when I came into that area of things because I was thinking, oh, I've been doing silly voices for a while. People like my voice acting in these fan projects. It should be pretty natural for me to move over into original projects, right? No, no. Totally different world. First off, people were coming to me asking for me to be these fan voices. They heard me in that song. Oh, I like the way you sound there. Can you just do that, but without the music? Here, I need to convince people that I'm the right voice for them, or at least, put myself out there amongst thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of other people trying to do the same thing. So the requirements to stick out and get that person to choose you are astronomically higher and more complex than it would have been in that fan space where it's just, yeah, I like you as a person. You got kind of the same vibe. You're in. I came in with years of voice acting experience from the fan stuff, but I had zero experience actually doing the audition process. I had to learn from the beginning what ABC takes are versus AAABBBCCC, the layout in which casting directors would like you to order your audition lines in the audition recording, for example. I had to learn that from scratch. You're always learning a lot in a space like this. So I would say one of the major things that I was surprised to learn is how much the social aspect, the public facing aspect of your person matters. It's not just about how silly you could do the voices or how well you can act. A lot of this is also based on how well you gel with somebody in the booth. If you and a casting director get along, or if the vibes just aren't matching up. I'm not just saying like, oh, don't be a jerk. It's just like, if they like you, they'll want you back more often. That's kind of just how it works. And then on top of that, on social media, similar idea, but en masse, all these casting directors, your co-stars, your peers, which are people that can get you opportunities like those boomer shooters I mentioned. That's because I'm friends with the guy that's offering me these opportunities. If he didn't like me as a person, chances are he wouldn't want to reach out to me as much. And I'm not saying like this is strategic. Try to make connections because it's beneficial for you, but try to put your best foot forward and show your best face and be very cognizant of how you come across to people. It makes a huge impact on your success because the voice acting space is a very connections-based place. How people know you and how they like you is directly going to affect the opportunities you have to be in things with them or by them. And if you are getting involved in all sorts of drama online or people have a reason to talk bad about you, that's going to mess things up for you a little bit. Those kinds of things matter a lot more than I think people give it credit for. This is a public-facing workplace, so it's like there's even more eyes on you as a person and how you come across. You got thousands of people that are looking at you, thousands of potential opportunities that are coming to your page to see if you're the right fit. They all have to feel comfortable knowing that you might be the right fit for them socially, professionally, personally, and skill wise.
What are your short and long term goals with voice acting?
I'm kind of taking it like as a go with the flow kind of approach, you know. I already feel like I have more of a connection with character based voice acting, which in itself is a whole world. You know, I'll be shocked if I end up getting huge success in commercial because I've just been told so many times I have a cartoonish voice already, you know, like I mesh really well with characters. I grew up in the 90s where all the characters were super wacky and zany and exaggerated. So I'm already kind of leaning toward going in that direction. But as far as what types of roles or places I want to get into, I'm not really trying to focus too much on like a specific angle. I just want to make sure that as many opportunities are open for me as possible. I would like to get in as many rosters as I can, meet as many people as I can, try as many different things as I can. Maybe then, after I've tried everything, I'll feel like, oh, I just had a really good experience doing this kind of thing every time. I've grown up watching animes with great voice performances, and I would love to do that. I love watching some of these indie cartoons like Digital Circus or Has Been Hotel or you know other character driven plots like that have amazing voice acting too. I love to do that as well. And I could say the same for funny fan projects that may not even get a ton of attention. It's just a great time overall. And the more you do, the more opportunities you're going to have. So I'm just kind of trying for everything, seeing where I feel like I fit. And I would just like to try as many things as possible so that I can make sure that I've made the best choice when I decide what I want to do for the, future.
Thank you so much. It's been a great interview. I love talking to you.
Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure being interviewed by you. Thanks so much for having me.